Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Off to the Races. I am your horse racing analyst, Alec, and on this week's show, it's time to get ready for Saratoga, my favorite race meet in the whole country. We are getting ready, as well as previewing for the big graded stake races that are happening this week at Saratoga, as well as looking at the Turf Triple Crown from last weekend, as well as Catholic Boys' loss in the Suburban. Last weekend was a huge weekend at Belmont, featuring the Turf Triple Crown. We saw a surprise, but also one that wasn't that much of a surprise. Concrete Rose was the horse that didn't make that much of a surprise, dominating the Belmont Oaks over rival Newspaper of Record and a bunch of other Chad Brown horses. He had the field surrounded with all of his horses that he was running, his army as I like to call it. I picked Cambier Park, who didn't do all that great, and I think Concrete Rose has a legitimate chance at winning the triple if she runs like she did in the Belmont Oaks for the other two races. She ran absolutely lights out, amazing race. In the boys' race for the Turf Trinity, the Belmont Derby, Henley's Joy was a 20-1 upsetter who doesn't look like he's going to be the winner of the Triple Crown. I get that he's been unlucky, but number one, if his luck continues, and number two, I don't think he has the raw talent. I don't think he's going to win the Triple Crown. Concrete Rose has a good chance, but not Henley's Joy. In the John A. Nerd, Promises Fulfilled was by far the class of the field and really proved it with an impressive win. Code of Honor looked very interesting in the Dwyer, making his case for the Travers. I'm telling you, I think that Code of Honor is in the top 3 for horses that could win the 3-year-old male championship. If he wins the Travers, and then maybe a race in between there, maybe the Jim Dandy, he's probably going to win it. I think he's been very good all year, and he could do really well later this year at Saratoga. Finally, in the Suburban, it was all Catholic boy until Preservationist snuck through on the inside and scored a bit of an upset for Jimmy Jerkins. It was a very, very nice race by Preservationist, 159.99. I believe that was the time for last year's Jockey Club Gold Cup as well. Catholic Boy, I think, is just better on the turf, even though Jonathan Thomas continues to run him on the dirt. Pavel, I believe, was third. He ran nicely, but I think they should put him into some easier spots. Overall, it was an amazing weekend at Belmont. At Saratoga on opening day, the first stake race we see is the Schuylerville, filled with first-time 2-year-old winners Shippy, Integral, Comical, Kiss the Girl, Aurelia Garden. But none stand out to me more than Shippy, who won her first race at Laurel Park by 10 lengths with an 86 Equibase speed figure. She's also been working out really, really fast, and I think that she's probably going to win this race. Also, my grandpa's friend happens to also own this horse, so a bit of a sentimental interest, but I think Shippy is the best horse with the most raw talent in this field. The race after the Schuylerville is the Quick Call Stakes, which I think is a very interesting race because it's wide open, and a couple of the favorites, like Call Paul and Sambaye, they're making their first time turf appearance. How will they do on the grass? Well, I don't know. So that's why I'm not going to be picking them, because I don't like to pick a horse going from dirt to turf for the first time. Call Paul especially, Sire's Frisian Fire. His dam is a claiming horse who won a lot of claiming races but on the dirt, and his dam Sire was a top sprinter on the dirt, so I don't know what they're doing here. So I'm going to pick a California horse named Listing, who has done very well at Santa Anita and in the California races, and he'll be shipping in. I think maybe from the West Coast to East Coast, maybe it'll get a little harder. The West Coast turf horses I don't think are as good as East Coast, but I'm going to take a chance here with this 4-1 shot in this race, as he is probably the best horse who's actually run on the turf. The Forbidden Apple might have been the toughest race to handicap of these big races that are happening this weekend. Right now, I say that Guido, Mr. Haverkamp, Made You Look, Voodoo Song, March to the Arch, Dr. Mounty, all of them have solid chances. Hembry as well has a good chance. But I came up with Mr. Haverkamp as the most likely winner of this race. I picked him because he ran very well in the Woodbine Mile, which proves that he can go against Grade 1 horses, which not many of these horses can say. And he might be a bit of a long shot because of his 13th place finish in his last race. However, that was in December, and that was his really only bad race in a while, and he's been working pretty well, even though he has the long layoff. I think if everyone was at their prime, Made You Look would win, but in this case, because Made You Look hasn't run in 11 months, I pick Mr. Haverkamp to win the Forbidden Apple. The entries for the Sanford Stakes have not come out yet, but I believe this horse will be entered, and I'm picking Took Charge, who won a nice Belmont maiden recently, finishing up in 11.22 seconds for the last furlong after a solid pace. So he had plenty of energy at the end of the race, which I think will help him in the Sanford. It's 6 furlongs, so he just has to run another furlong. And based on how he finished up last time, I think he can run really well in this race. He's been working well as well, too. This weekend is the Diana, a big race for the fillies on turf. It's very popularly used to go to the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. Lady Eli used it, Sister Charlie used it. Notice a trend? Both Chad Brown. I'm not even going to try to go against Chad Brown in this race because he's got 4 really almost unstoppable horses. Rimska's probably the weakest horse of that group, so I'm not going to put her into the top spot. Sister Charlie is really, really good, winner of the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf last year, as well as the Diana trying to repeat, and Rushing Fall is coming off a very, very good Just a Game where she went 131 and change, as well as the Jenny Wiley. So she's had a perfect season so far. And Homerique, coming from France, has done very well in her 2 starts at Belmont. So out of those 3, I wouldn't pick Sister Charlie because she's coming off the layoff. So now it's Homerique or Rushing Fall. Rushing Fall, she'll be the favorite, but she's just the fastest horse of that group. I don't know how you don't go with Rushing Fall as the most likely winner. She's an amazing horse, only losing once, which I think was a bad ride by Javier Castellano. Doesn't make many bad rides, but that was just one of them. And Rushing Fall could be perfect if it weren't for that. I think Rushing Fall, there's just no way she gets beaten by Sister Charlie. She's an amazing horse. And again, Chad Brown, he's a great trainer. We'll see what happens, but it'll be a nice race, but Rushing Fall will definitely come out on top. That's all for this week on Off to the Races, but next week we're going to recap the Diana, which is a very big race that I just previewed, as well as some of the other stuff I previewed. But we're also going to look at some of the other exciting races coming up at Saratoga, as well as the Coaching Club American Oaks, a stepping stone towards the 3-year-old filly title. We'll see who runs in that race. Hopefully Guarana, who's an amazing thoroughbred. She is just absolutely lights out, ran incredible in her maiden and her acorn. So hopefully we'll see her in the Coaching Club American Oaks. It'll be an exciting week as we head to Saratoga. I'll see you next week on Off to the Races.